Good morning, everybody. Firstly, I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land of which we're meeting on today. I pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging. So I'm really excited to welcome you all today to our business planning webinar. My name is Caitlin and I'm from the Queensland Government's Mentoring for Growth program. Now this program offers eligible businesses free access to business mentors who volunteer their time to provide food for thought, insights and suggestions around business opportunities and around their challenges. So we are really lucky to have the four mentors here today to help us to learn more around the importance of business planning. Without further ado, I might pass you over to the very capable hands of Roger. Thank you, Roger.
Thanks guys. Not quite sure how I got the first cab off the rank, but
someone had to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. But good to be here today. Again, to a few key prompts that we've had, and you know, starting off with why is having a business plan in place so important? And because I'm first, I get to use all the well-worn cliches, I guess. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. If you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there. And the well-worn one, and the hope is not a strategy. But I guess what it does do, and it's for an organization, be it 1 or 2 or 1 or 200 or 1 or 2,000, it certainly provides direction, focus and collaboration of the wider group. And I think that's it. If you're a team of 1, then it's a nice exercise to go through just to make sure you've got your thoughts together. But when you're a team of many, how do you get everybody effectively on the same proverbial page or virtual page, if you like? So the second thing, what are the key elements of the business plan? I guess starting with a vision, mission, but be very careful here. You know, you can sort of get thesauruses of these things. You know, what's one I can pick off the shelf and talk about? We want to be the best so-and-so being that. And it becomes slightly trite. But I think almost that Simon Sinek type approach of why, start with the why your business is in the business in the first place and really articulate that. That's often hard for organizations, but if you could do. After the vision, mission / why, perhaps into a current position, maybe using a SWOT analysis. I prefer also to use a thing called SWOT-AC, which also is obviously strengths, weaknesses, opportunity, threats, but also assumptions and constraints, top and bottom. After that, objectives and goals, depends which school you went to, whether what are objectives, qualitative, goals, quantitative. You know, in other words, we want to grow revenue, and the goal is that it needs to be by 30%, whatever. Strategies is the how, what are the high level things we want to do, and then an action plan is the what and when. And what I'd suggest is when you do an action plan, have no more than 90 days and have no more than 10 actions, because otherwise it becomes. So next question is, what do I do with a business plan once it's created? Well, believe it or not, you should put it in the bottom drawer or proverbial bottom drawer in this digital age in a folder. That doesn't mean you ignore it, but what you do is tear off that bottom page, or sorry, you know, copy and paste it somewhere and execute the actions. It's hard if you're actually looking at the business plan all the time, say, oh, that's not quite right, because therefore it's not a plan. Execute the actions. You'll be amazed when you come back after, say, 1 quarter, that if you've executed the actions, the plan is starting to take place. And then revisit every 90 days, update the plan, etc. Top tips, be brave. As I say, don't just be, it's not a business as usual document. Just document what you're doing. Do the things that are different. And what I tend to recommend to my people I work with is start with a 3-year plan, not a 1-year plan. 5 years is 2 lifetimes really, so it's too long, but a 3-year plan really starts to say, what are the things we need to change in the business, and then come back to a 1-year thing. What resources? Again, collaboration resources. Some of you may have heard of affinity diagrams, KJ method, micro board planning to get groups together. and sharing experiences. Yeah, couple actually. One when I was in professional world, worked for a large Australian organisation, set up their UK operation. So really had to execute the plan, obviously for many stakeholders, include the board, through to the local teams, etc. And more recently, been doing some coaching for Brisbane City Council, helped a paint and sip organisation do a business plan. So for a big spectrum, I guess.
Thank you so much, Roger. You kept well under your 5-minute allocation with 57 seconds to spare. Thank you.
On time, under budget.
That's the way. Thank you so much.
All good business plans, yeah.
Thank you so much. Okay, let me just get the next slide. Okay, thank you so much, Roger. Helen, you're next off the rank.
Thank you very much. I'm not sure that I'll keep us well to time, but hopefully I will. You'll interrupt me if I don't.
I will.
Look, you know, I suppose I'll go through those questions too. And, you know, why should you have a business plan? I have a few different ideas to Roger. So I hope, you know, we all have different ideas and we all think differently about things. But I guess I see a business plan as an essential management tool for small businesses. So many of them start without a plan, and it's so important to have, you know, you wouldn't go on holiday without a plan, is the old saying. So if you know, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. But you know, it is just so important for you yourself to have a plan, because you can use it for everything that you do in your business. And as small businesses, which I deal with a lot, it's your business. And you want to make sure that it goes the way you want it to go. So having a plan is really important. A lot of people do a plan just for a business, just for a investment, or for some funding, and they don't realise that it's actually, there are two things here. One is it's the process of them actually going through the plan, but it's the use of that plan afterwards, and the fact that it really should be looked at every day. So, you know, your business plan is a communication tool to persuade people. It's a decision-making tool. It's an analysis tool. So it's, again, it's your major management tool for your business. What are the key elements of the business plan? Well, it always starts with yourself. So I have 5 areas that I like to work in and talk about, and that's mastering your own mindset, having a clear and focused vision, knowing your relationships, and creating essential systems, monitoring and controlling your outcomes. So it starts with you, actually, and your mindset about where you want to go with your business. And that is your vision, your mission, your why statement, as was just spoken about. And I think a very big part for small businesses is to not forget to have a look at your branding. You know, branding is all of those things that we've just talked about, your vision, your mission, and everything. Everything comes into your brand. Having a good analysis. So, you know, whether it be a SWOT analysis or something else, really analysing your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, and your threats to find out and make decisions about where you want to go. Making sure that you include, you know, research on your market and your customers. Making sure that you include your financials in your business plan. So having a really clear idea about, you know, what profit you want to make and where that cash flow is going to go. That will help you also to make a decision about your pricing, because often I see that people don't have a very good pricing strategy. What should they do with the business plan once it's created? I'm not a believer in being in the bottom shelf, although I dare say it is the action plan that you need to work on, or the strategies that you need to work on. So every day, every week, every month, you should be looking at those actions, those strategies, those plans that you've got. They should remind you about where you're going and how you're going to get there. And, you know, they should have measurements of that success. So, you know, how are you going at each different stage? What's the top tip for business planning? I'd say just do it. Most of the people that come to me don't have a business plan, or they've written one and just thrown it in the drawer thinking that it was just okay, a one-off. Write a business plan would be the first thing that I'd say in getting, getting things happening. You know, you need to have a really well-informed business plan. What are the business planning resources that I recommend? The thing about business plans is there are lots of different templates out there. So having a look at and finding a template that suits you and your business, go through it and get a couple of them. Have a look at a couple of different templates. See if they suit you. If they don't, they may be missing something. So when I'm working with somebody with a business plan, I might pick a particular template that we've got, but we might add to it for a particular section that really needs an extra bit of influence or analysis in their particular business. You know, one of the things is about efficiencies. You know, will it help your efficiencies? Yes, it will, but you know, you've got to analyze that particular area of your business as part of your business plan. Examples of business planning. I think I deal with so many different types of businesses. Of course, most of them are confidential, but on the other hand, you know, I think the biggest thing that I have found with most businesses is that they realize that how important it is. So I have just done a big business plan that's taken me 6 months or so with a business that employs, I think most probably about 10 people. And they've done a business plan before, but again, they didn't come out with some clear actions and strategies. And now they have those clear actions and strategies that they're working with over the next 6 to 12 months. I'm not sure. Have I covered everything and have I had my time? Yeah.
Yeah, you're all good. No, thank you very much, Helen. A lot of insights there. Thank you. Okay, so next off the rank, we have Paul. Over to you, Paul.
I apologise to everyone for such a rubbish picture, actually.
Oh.
No. I need to see a photographer desperately if anyone's out there. Yeah. I'm, you know, a lot of the stuff that's been said already, I won't repeat. It's all good. It's all best practice. I think recently, since I decided to do this, I've been thinking a lot about the world in which we're actually living at the moment. You know, the issues in order to drive a business forward through some sort of planning process is coming up against two things, really, isn't it? Well, one is the inability to find anyone to do the job. We have a massive capability problem out there, can't find people. And at the same time, the world is moving so quickly. So you have this sort of dichotomy where everything is moving really quickly, but you can't move very quickly because you can't necessarily find the people you want. And within that background, you've got to plan your business. And so the other thing is, I think, is my issues around business planning and where it goes wrong are often the fact that people lose the excitement, filling in the template, turning up to the meeting, you know, oh God, doing a bit of analysis, and somehow lose perspective of why they got into this in the first place, the passion, the interest, why you do it. And so my tips are always really found around ambition and why you want to do something, why you get up in the morning, and then do a real deep dive into why you want to do this. It's tough. And if you want to do something that's tough, you have to plan. And planning is different for every different organization. I think some of the stuff on the website and the sort of learning tools that the Mentoring for Growth provides are great. But ultimately, I don't really care how big your business plan is. I don't care if it's on the back of a fag packet. What I need to see is that you have a very, very clear idea about what you want to achieve and why you want to achieve it for yourself, your family, for whatever purpose. And if that's the thing that drives you, you'll find that a lot of things fall into place. If you haven't got that motivation, you haven't got that drive, and you're doing it for altruistic reasons or anything else, you'll find that actually it becomes more of a chore. And ironically, you probably have to do a little bit more planning. That's the ironic. So my tips are all about, you know, think about the money, think about the cash. Because I come from a professional services background, the first time I got a GM job, someone said to me, if you ever forget about the cash flow, you just walk out the door now and don't come back. And I think that, you know, the idea of cash, the idea of ensuring that the money always works, ensuring that you're looking forward is as important as your business plan. So I tend to do a couple of things. One is I put a business plan together Never more than 4 pages for a small business. Very clearly separated between what do you want to do with your clients and your markets, what do you want to do to manage your finances, what is the operational plan that will underpin it, and then finally, what are those areas of human capital that need to be addressed. And I think usually if you cover those 4 areas off, and you can do your SWOT analysis and all the rest of it, I think you find that you get some real clarity about what you want to do. So my business plans tend to be, yes, there's 3 or 4 overriding objectives that you need to have to deliver within a certain period of time, and then drill into each of those objectives across those areas of clients, finance, operations, and people. And then literally in 2 pages often, you can get to where you want to get if you're a smaller business. And sometimes the business planning processes, I agree with Helen, I did the global plan for one of the global law firms, which is a 6.5 month planning process. But we did one the other day for a business that took 4 minutes, literally. We literally wrote it down and that's it. The other thing I'd say to you is that sales are important. And if you haven't got a clear idea about how you're going to make the money, how you're going to close the deal, the value proposition you've got and why people should buy, ultimately, that's what you're asking them to do, buy what you're selling, then, and I think a lot of the templates focus a lot on structure, purpose, vision, etc., but they don't do the how am I going to sell. So those probably are my big issues. And it's all to me around passion and agility and getting it done quickly and waking up. And, if the plan doesn't work, scrap the plan, get another plan together, sit in the room and change it. And so agility, speed, and not getting lost in analysis, but getting in action is probably my mantra. And hopefully I've just added to what everyone else has said, which has been perfect best practice. Thanks.
Thank you, Paul. That's wonderful. Thank you so much. Okay, last but not least, Michael. You look at this photo.
Great photo. Has anybody stopped breathing yet? If you have, just take a breath. Really? Look, it's great coming at the end, and it's not so great because most stuff's been said. So there's a couple of things I want to recap on, and wholeheartedly what Paul just said. Look, the reason we go into business is that we're passionate about something. So a business plan really sets out the test why you're there. And if you're already in a business and you haven't got a plan, it'll help you retest why you're there and why you need a plan. Most people that fail, that don't have a plan, all fail for a simple reason, is they haven't looked at risk. Risk is a whole wide range of areas, and that really does mean looking at getting some help if you need it. The particular risk areas people get caught around in a business plan is your legal structures, your asset protection. That is my house at risk? Are my funds at risk? And a lot of that comes down to the area of having a good financial plan. Do you have a projected profit and loss for the next year? Are you running weekly cash flows to see when you need funds? Do you start it without the right level of money and hope like hell, and there's no such thing as hope in business, that you're actually going to have enough money? Most people end up in insolvency practices because they start out undercapitalized. They actually go to a banker, says, can I have a loan? And the bank says, no, you can't. So they do it anyway. There's a reason why all that stuff plays out, particularly when you're looking at risk. Look, I have a separate thing around vision. Vision is a personal thing. It's about you. It's about why you're in your business. Your mission, your objectives are simply to set up your business around what you want to do on a personal level. If things aren't working, you change them. And you keep changing them till you find what works, because you're unique. Your business is unique to everything. There are so many aspects to a business plan. I'm not a person that supports a 1 or 2 page, because there's so much that needs to be considered, whether you're a one-person operator or not. If it's not complete, if you haven't looked at every risk factor in there, it will bite you on the backside. That's just a fact of life. And as an ex-person working in that liquidation area, I see it often. The people that I usually end up working with haven't got a business plan, haven't considered the risk areas, haven't looked at, you know, what they're trying to sell and what is the return. Bottom line is you're in business often because of your passion, but you need to make money. You've got to have a lifestyle to sustain. So if you haven't looked at the risk factors that will stop you from doing that, you will get yourself into trouble. So all those areas, from your company structure right the way through to marketing, products and services, and in particular, when you start to employ people, the two biggest risk areas in business at the moment are workplace health and safety and environmental, which is government legislation, and it's driving a lot of businesses into a lot of hardship, and also the industrial relations provisions. So have a look at all of that. That means when you're employing people, you'll need employment agreements. It's just a fact of life, unfortunately, in 2022, because they're high risk areas. Templates, well, there's a lot of them, isn't there? They're on the websites for today. You'll see them. The template doesn't matter. It's actually what you put into it that matters. It's about the action plan that comes out of it. And I think Roger might have said that, and Helen might have said it, and I think Paul said it. Putting it in the bottom drawer, I'm not a favour of that. Every time something changes in your business, you're pulling it out to see what you need to change, because inevitably there'll be areas in your business. For example, you bring on a new staff member. Well, cash flow is going to change. Your projected profit and loss for the next year is going to change. Your costing, your pricing for your products and services will change. So if you're not reviewing all of that as a consequence of some change, you're not taking care of your business through your business plan, because that's where it all sits. I think, yeah, have fun, get some help. That's my final tip. Find somebody that can help you. And if there's a barber out there, I'd love some help to remove that beard. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Okay, wonderful. Well, if you want to, participants and attendees, if you want to pop some questions through the Q&A section there, please do so. If you've got a question for a particular mentor, just pop their name in there also. We've already got a question in from David. Is the business model and the business plan an example for the age of the, okay. So what David's asking is, what's the difference between a business model and a business plan, and which one comes first, and how do they correlate, you know, question, egg before chicken, etc. Michael, since we're on you, would you like to answer that one?
Look, a business plan includes a business model. So depending on the industry in, the type of model you're looking for example, one of the most difficult models for people to get their heads around are franchising. Franchising versus what's the difference between a franchise model and a straightforward business model. Modeling is all part of business planning. So as you go through your structure, you're looking at what model suits best. And that can also come down to if you're having to ship product external to Australia, you might be an exporter. The model will change again.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay, does anybody else have any other questions? Okay, while we're waiting for those questions to come through, I'd also like to take this opportunity to thank the other mentors that have participated in this whole Ask a Mentor series around business planning. They're linked here, David, Gerard, Lance and Tim. The attendees from these sessions will get these slides, so you'll be able to visit their LinkedIns and have a bit of a squiz at who they are and what they're all about. Okay, Shane, how do you research competitors? I'm starting in workplace health and safety consulting. Paul, would you like to answer that one?
Goodness me, that's a big question, isn't it? I mean, how do you research competitors? I think you have to have an understanding at the beginning, you know, who they are. I mean, presumably, you know, the beginning of consciousness is the understanding that you know what you're doing. So who on earth am I competing against would be probably the first question you ask. And then there are ways of doing it. It depends how deep you want to dive. I think the next question is you have to ask yourselves the questions you want answered about your competitors, as opposed to just going on their websites. You know, what are they selling? How are they selling it? Who are they selling it to? What is their value proposition? exactly how are they pricing their product? Could you go and buy one in the down the pub, the marketplace, buy one, sniff it, taste it, use it. And then coming up with a program and basically saying that there's sort of strategic information you need, which you can find in various places. Then there's structural information you will probably find out in depending how they're configured, the people who run them, the capitalization behind the business. They may have very deep pockets. And then drilling that down then into what it means on an operational level for you to be competing with them in the marketplace you choose to compete with them in. So it really is a sort of, to me anyway, it's a top-down process.
Wonderful. Thank you, Paul. And also the benefit of understanding your competitors is working out what you can do. It's better than them. What's going to give you a
competitive advantage. Yeah, absolutely. I work in assumption that hopefully you got your business planning and value proposition right, so you knew you had it.
Yeah, exactly. Wonderful. Thank you.
I wouldn't mind adding to that too, that sometimes we think we don't have competition or that we don't realise who our competition are. That's a really important thing, to be very objective about who your competition are. And I think also looking at a competition that you aspire to be like, rather than, okay, just who's round the corner from me.
Yeah, that's a very good point, Helen. Okay, can you start a business plan as you are starting the business? Can you get started on a business plan at the same time as knowing? Oh, sorry. Can you start a business plan as you have started the business? So, okay, I'm presuming, can you write a business plan even though you've already started? Roger, do you want to answer that one?
Yes, it's never too late, and unfortunately or fortunately, everybody would like to think that, well, I'm going to start a business, so I'll write a business plan. Very few organisations do that. It's almost related to the competitive question, why have you started the business in the first place? I sit on some grants panels of assessing grants, and it's always this gap in the market, or is there a market in the gap problem that we have. So often people are well down the track. I've decided this because I've got a great idea, and oh my goodness, how am I going to fund it? So it's never ever too late, even for large organizations, I can assure you, to start that thing. The important thing is to put the scoping around it, obviously timeframes, start with the structures, etc., execute the actions. And again, another cliche, all about a brilliant plan badly executed is nothing compared with a poor plan well executed. And hence my comment previously about put the plan in the bottom drawer and execute the actions. What I'm meaning there is, no, you do revisit the plan, but you revisit every 90 days and see how the actions have implemented the plan and what do we need to change. So yeah, never too late, always thing. And in fact, in some ways, it could be a good thing in an obtuse way, having gone through the pain of not having done the plan and now really having that, oh my goodness moment to do that.
Wonderful. Thank you, Roger. All right, Michael.
Hello.
What's your tips on getting your passion back when you just feel over it?
Well, first of all, maybe sometimes we start a business and it's not for the right reasons. Often people start a business because they can't get a job or they want to buy a job. So the first thing is to consider why you're over your passion. If you're over your passion, just seriously go and take 5 minutes out and start breathing again and start to write down all of the things that you wanted to set out to do. I know for me, when I started 22 years ago, and I can tell you every 4 or 5 years, I sit there and go, am I still in this for the right reasons? And if I'm not, I start to have a look at what's gone skew with. And sometimes it's because I lose my focus about what I want to do. And I start following a path about what other people would like me to do. So any business can make money. Any business can give you a lifestyle, and it's unique to you. So take some time out and have a look at what's gone off track and just go back to being yourself.
Thank you. Thank you, Michael. Okay. Oh, I've slipped through a slide. Okay. Let's see. I'm wondering if Paul has any tips on setting pricing for professional services. You're muted. Paul, you're muted. Paul, you're muted.
What I was saying was my mouse seems to be actually fighting me at the moment, so apologies. Look, it's absolutely massive, isn't it? If you're in the smaller firms in professional services, trying to get some fixed cash flow, I'm working with a couple of firms at the moment where we're doing everything we possibly can to move to fixed fees for that sort of certainty of price. I run a whole 2-day workshop on pricing in professional services, and I think a lot of it is depending on where you are. For the medium-sized firms, it's this absolute understanding of if you're selling time, making sure that you price it accordingly to the value that you're giving the client. And I'm seeing a lot of internal pricing at the moment where people are effectively overselling and overpricing the hourly rate because the staff ratios that we were used to were actually, in other words, getting people delivering a product at the wrong pay grades and trying to work through that and losing profitability. For pricing generally, I do law and I do accounting. For me, the accounting side is much easier because, as I say, I've got prepayments coming in. I've got 85 to 90% fixed fees in some of the clients I'm working with at the moment. And so pricing that is really not about the competitor. It's really about our conversations with the clients themselves. And we set our fixed fees a lot of the time purely on those conversations. So we're moving really to value-based. In the old days, we would set an hourly rate. We would put a budget together based on what those hourly rates would mean us, and that would effectively have been a business plan. So I think I got my top 3 tips for professional services these days is talk to your clients, understand where they're coming from, and price accordingly. For compliance work, there's a price. But for some of the stuff that is not compliance work, which is advisory work and others, negotiate and do it properly. And you'd be amazed if you do that. You actually make a lot more money than you probably thought you would if you go down that road. And I could go into this for hours, but that's probably off the top of it.
Thank you. Okay, Helen, some business advice I received in the previous mentoring session is that a marketing plan and a business plan these days are highly interlinked. What are your thoughts?
Oh, I do think that. I think that sometimes, so when I do a business plan, often I have, if you like, appendixes. So, our marketing plan would be quite a separate document, but it actually then gets analysed and put into your main business plan. And that's most probably how, again, if you're looking at efficiencies, then you'd look at your operational plan and it would also be part of the business plan. So sometimes you do have these appendix documents that go into a lot more detail than the actual business plan.
Thank you so much. Okay. Roger, this one's for you. Can you please mention and briefly talk about the 2 additional elements that you added to your SWOT analysis? You added 2 extra at the end, didn't you?
Yeah. So, SWOTs have been used for years. You can do the strengths, weaknesses, opportunity, and threats, or you can simply say, what are we doing well or what are we doing not so well? If you are doing a SWOT analysis, obviously SWOT traditionally strengths and weaknesses tend to be an internal view and opportunity and threats tend to be an external view. Mm-hmm. I've seen some and people get confused with that and they intermingle the two, but in broad terms the challenge you have is that it suddenly becomes a boil the ocean exercise to say, well, we've got what are our strengths? We can do all this. What are our opportunities? We can go overseas and we can start that. What effectively the other 2, assumptions and constraints. Constraints is sort of stopping you from trying to boil the ocean when you do it. So what we want to do is the opportunity is that we can expand overseas. The constraint is we haven't got funds to do that at the moment, right? So it's to bring it back to reality from that sort of thing. On the bottom of that is to stop the doom and gloom merchants coming in. What happens if we have another COVID pandemic in the next 12 months? Well, you can't plan for that. So you put that as an assumption, and that's the A part of it. So you build some assumptions into your plan because you can't cater for everything. What happens if the Ukraine situation goes into World War III. You know, if you start trying to plan on those bases, you just, and as I said, plans are all about collaboration, having everybody's input. So it's almost a thing called operational consensus, where you come with these things to say, look, we'd love to do that, but let's put that down as a constraint or an assumption at the moment, and let's work the plan within that. That's the two others.
Thanks, Roger. Wonderful. Okay. We're going to go through each mentor now and have a suggestion for a must-have business book. Roger, do you have a must-have off the top of your head?
Sorry, say that again. Do I have a must-have?
A must-have business book or resource.
Yeah, I have a few of them. My favorite is probably the Blue Ocean Strategy, which I've had, for those of you who haven't read, it's how to create uncontested market space, I guess. And for small businesses, the book called The E-Myth, which again, both of these books are quite old now, but the entrepreneurial myth about working on the business, not in the business. That'd be my two for sure.
Both still really relevant. Paul, do you have one off the top of your head?
Yeah, it's quite an old one actually, but it's Broken to Bits by Boston Consulting.
Okay.
Which goes through effectively how industry and how sales has deconstructed and will continue to deconstruct itself through the net and through digital. Brilliant.
Cool. Wonderful. Michael?
Oh, look, I'm with Roger. E-Myth, an oldie but a goodie, and it never tires.
Yeah.
It's just got the foundation for everything. So there's so many resources around, and I know that's half the battle is knowing what to read and what to accept. And but that book is tried, tested, and it works.
Yes, most definitely. Helen?
Look, isn't it funny? I've got lots of books on my shelf, but trying to think of one just at the moment. I do agree. The E-Myth is most probably a tried, and it's been out there for a long time. So yes, I'd have to go with that one as well. I'm a great believer that your mindset actually can make or break you. So I think that I would go also to Tony Robbins, funny enough.
Yeah, no, I agree completely. Okay. Helen, while we're on you, can you talk more on strategies and action plan? Are they mostly financial goals? So, and once you've done your business plan and you move towards the strategy side of things, are they mostly financial goals?
No, I don't believe that. I think that financials are very important. And, if I was helping somebody, I generally try and have, around 5 strategies and trying to cover each of the areas of your business. So that might be, your branding, your marketing, yes, your finance, your risk. It does depend a little bit on the business, so it might even be an operational strategy. I think that if you don't have your finances working properly and you don't understand your finances, that that's a whole new. Yes, maybe then I would say yes, most probably you have everything in finances, but really you can't have everything in finances because a lot of it has to do with branding and your relationships with customers. So business is a game of numbers and relationships, followed up with the systems and the processes.
Great. Thank you, Helen. Okay. Michael.
Yeah.
The question is to help those in
Yes,
need.
I was hoping you would ask me that.
How can I set up a business plan as a sole trader without any funding?
Well, dear Anonymous, first of all, I would highly recommend that if you have any assets at all, you wouldn't want to set up as a sole trader.
Agreed.
Because from the point that as a sole trader, if something goes wrong in your business, your personal assets are at risk. So you would, first of all, in your business plan, you'd be looking at your legal structure. Often people in the area you're talking about, and I spent some time in that area a long time ago, the area of providing services to areas that traditionally are government funded are difficult to do without money. You can start something small. People will often start something which is we traditionally call a hobby business, where they're not a full-fledged business to get some working capital together. But again, when you're writing your business plan, you're looking at what money do you need. And one of the recommendations we give startup businesses is that when you work out what your operating expenses are going to be for the first year, you want a minimum of 6 months of that available to you, so you don't have to rely upon sales for the first 6 months. If you make them, it's great. If you don't, you're not in dire straits, because most people in that first 6 months run into cash flow problems. So it's a loaded question and difficult to do without finding out what you need in that first year.
Great, thank you, Michael. Okay, we might wrap up with one last question. Roger, what's the best way about going to get help with putting together a business plan? Is one person able to help with all the different sections, i.e. business plan, marketing, financial, or do you need to get help from a business advisor, a marketing expert, and a financial advisor?
Well, yeah, this could go a number of ways. I think certainly, you know, there is a lot of templates, as we say, available on the web, etc., for you to do that. So don't necessarily say you have to get somebody, but the whole thing is all about collaboration and how you get various views of the world. Again, my recent background is advisory boards. I find that an excellent way of doing that, because that's something you could do almost, you could set a pop-up advisory board to develop a business plan, if you like, from that. Obviously a combination of mentoring, pro bono, paid advisors, etc., whatever the case is. The important thing is to get inputs from the key players who understand each of these areas. So if that's external, particularly around the strategies, or internal, your own staff actually have a lot of these ideas. So being able to draw this out of them via some form of structure, something like an advisory board would be my view. Great.
Thank you, Roger. But we've kind of run out of time. We've got a couple of more questions there, but I'll take them offline. Just a little bit of information in regards to what other resources are available to our attendees today. We've got a whole bunch of online resources, including templates and support materials around business planning. And we've also got this new Ask a Mentor segment as well that you can access there. You can also obviously come and register for a Mentoring for Growth session. So they're 45-minute Zoom sessions with two of our wonderful mentors. We've got well over 300 mentors all over Queensland, specialising in all different areas and industries. So pop a registration through to that, and we'll match you with business mentors that will be able to help you with your challenges and opportunities. So we can certainly send you these slides so you can access those links, as well as the recording. And I think that is all that done and dusted today. So thank you very much, mentors, and thank you for all of our attendees out there for taking the time on a Monday morning to come along to this session. And thank you. Nice seeing you all.